I'm going to show you a few hints and tips that we came up with. One is around recurring general journals. So historically, when we did a reversing balance, it would go through on the date that we'd quoted on the transaction. However, it would reverse out on the first day of the following period. So in my example here, it would reverse out on the 1st of February. There is a new field called reverse date calculation, and as you can see, we can put in there the usual filters. So whether we say 1W for 1 week or 1M for 1 month or 23D, whatever we require, so that that reversal happens on a specific date rather than just the first date of the following month. So a nice new feature that they've added into the system. The other one that I want to take you through is filters, and this works in both the current version and in the previous versions, although it will look somewhat different. So let's say, for example, that I'm doing a filter on a daily basis or once a week to let JR know who his customers are. So I would go into the filter panel and I would put a filter on for salesperson code being JR. And maybe I've got other things where I want to say a filter where their balance is greater than 0. Yeah, so basically, you know, I've put that filter on, and obviously I can then push this into Excel, or I can I can push this into Excel and then send it out to him as a report. But obviously that's very tedious for me having to do this on a daily, weekly basis, because it means I need to remember it. But what we can do is save this filter. Yes, so here's one that I did earlier where I've saved the filter, but basically I save this filter, I give it a name, and it's going to store that filter for me. So there's the one that I did earlier. So there's my JR with balances greater than 0, and I've saved it as my JR filter. This is a different one. So this is looking at the yellow location and currency being euros. So there's all the euro currencies. And then this one is the JR filter. So this is all of the JR accounts with a euro currency. Yeah, so I can still add to this filter. So if I want to say where their balances are greater than 0 again, yeah, I can still do that, and then I can just use that. But that's not my filter, so I can still add filters on top of it. So really nice feature to be able to add those filters. Available obviously all the way through the system. So here's another one that I've got on items, where this one is filtered for anything where I've got an inventory equal to 0. Yeah, so I've just looked at inventory equal to 0. So it's giving me all inventory where I need to perhaps reorder. And then obviously on something like the chart of accounts, where we want to look at the net change, rather than, as you know, that the net change is there for all the periods, there are specific filters. So here I've got net change CM for current month, and it's looking at obviously my date filter being October because that's the month that we're in. So it's looking here at current month, which is filtering purely for October, so therefore the transactions will only be between the 1st and the 31st. But that means I don't have to change the date filter every time. So yes, I particularly want to look at a period of time, but I don't have to put the filter on. So all I've done is just filtered by CM. So we'll look at current month. So really nice feature, means that you don't have to do all of those extra pieces of work every time. So one of the other things that that we've got in the old days, we used to have tool zoom. So if I want to look at, let me clear those filters. So I've got all my customers back, and we know that there are various fields that we can't see from that point of view. So I now want to look at, let's take the Canon group, because I know I've got lots of transactions and lots of data on there. And if I want to do, in the old days it was Control Zoom or Control F8, I think it was, then basically it would give me all of the hidden fields and other fields that I require. So now it's Control Alt and F1 gets you to the same thing. So it's telling me that it's customer card 21, that's the page, and the table is the customer table, table 18. And here are all the fields on the customer table. So even if we can't physically see them on the card, some of the hidden fields, some of the system fields, they are all being shown here in exactly the same way as you would have done before. So if I want to look, so there's the name to field, obviously we can't see that, and the name to field is blank. We've got things like the telex number. You won't find that field on the system anywhere, but telex number is blank as well. And then things like the territory code. Again, it's a field that's there. It's just not been dragged onto the card, but we can see that they've got an answer in there. The other thing while I'm here to highlight to you is that in the URL at the top, you can see here that we have the page number, so page 21 and the company ID DC demonstration. So here is page 21 on the card, and there's your page 21 at the top. So if I come off this field here, if I come off this list view, sorry, go off the card and go to a list view, you can see I'm on page 22. Here, look, customer list, page 22. So really useful if you don't know what the page number is, or you're searching, or you're trying to find it to do web services or something of that nature. You've now got the page number in the URL at the top. Okay, one of the other things that has been added into the system a few releases ago, so not necessarily on the latest release, but a few releases ago, was to copy the line description to the GL entries. As you can see there, it's for a line type of GL account, and rather than just putting across the invoice number, it will now take the line description with it. So if I create a new sales invoice, let's choose 2000. Okay. So Ligurian, and we come down and we want a line type of a GL account, and I'm going to use T3. Let's use consultancy services, and rather than just having the invoice number, so okay, and we had 2 days at 975 per day, and I'm going to post this invoice. So post, post, post. Let's open the posted sales invoice. So there's my posted sales invoice. If I go actions and find entries, when I now drill into my GL code, you see that obviously going to the control account is the invoice number, but going to the VAT and to my consultancy account is the line description, Business Central training. So 8320, let's go and see that from the GL point of view. So if I go into 8320, and we drill down on the transaction, there's my invoice number, 1st of January 23, Business Central training. So makes life for reconciliation much clearer and much easier, and the detail coming through to the account is much clearer also. So the last thing I want to show you is deferrals. So deferrals again has been in the system for a reasonably long period of time. It might not be a feature that you're familiar with. These are the deferral templates, so we need to set these up in advance. So I've got several of them running here. So we've given it a code and a description. And then we have to say what the deferral percentage is. So in this case, we're going to defer the full 100%. I don't have to. And then the different deferral methods. So straight line is calculated equally according to the number of periods. Equal per period does exactly what it says on the tin, that it divides it equally into the number of periods. So if I'm deferring over 12 months or 9 months, in this case 12, then it will divide it equally between the number of periods. The days per period is subtly different because obviously there's different days in the month. So January has 31, February has 28 or 29, and then April has 30 and so on. So you will get, rather than an equal month amount, you'll get it based on the number of days in the period. And then the last one is the user defined. So the user defined allows us to define at the runtime how that deferral is to take place. The period description gives us some additional details. So %4 is the month name of the posting date. So 1 is the days, the week, the month number. So 1, 2 and 3 are the day number, the week number or the month number. And then 4 is the month name, 5 is the accounting period, and 6 is the financial year of the posting period date. So you can build up some description going with your transaction. Those are all in the help, obviously, and there is a number of periods. So in this case, we called it a 12-month sales deferral, and we're doing straight line, and we're doing the number of periods of 12. So the 3-month we've done equal per period, and the 6-month we've done as days per period. Yeah, so they will give slightly different results, and then the custom option we define as we run through. So if I go and create a new sales invoice, let's go 3,000. Okay, and if I do a GL line for 6, let's say sales, and we do one at 6,000, and I'm going to choose the 6-month deferral, which was 6 months is equal per days per period. Yeah, so this should be giving us slightly different values when I post this. 6 months giving us slightly different values when I post this. So when we post this invoice and we go and look at the invoice and we find entries underneath it, you can see I've now got 7 transactions. Obviously I would expect 3 for my goods, my VAT and my control. So there is my control account, so the 7,200. There is my accrual for 5380 for the 6,000 going in there, going to 6110. And there is my deferral for January, so it's taken 1,027 because there's 31 days in January. There is the 6,000 going in and out for the going to the sales account, and obviously there's my 5610, there's my VAT. So there is my 5380 and my 5380. So that is my deferrals account. So if I sit on this account, you can see. So this is my deferrals account. So the whole 6,000 has gone into my deferrals account, and then the 1,027 has come out, and 1,027 has gone into my sales. So let's go and do a custom one so you can see how that works. Okay, so if I go and do an invoice for the custom, let's go account number 2000, Seligorian, and let's choose a GL line. And let's go for retail sales again, and let's have a quantity of quantity of 1, value of 6,000. And here I'm going to choose the custom deferral code. Now, if I try and post this, it's going to error that I haven't specified. So the deferral amount cannot be 0 on this particular line, custom template 0. So I can't post it without doing the deferrals, related information, deferral schedule. And it's telling me here that we're over 6 periods and I've got £6,000 to post. And down here, I've got my running total. So basically, I can say I want £1,500 in this one. I want £500 there. Let's say another 1,500 there and another 500 there. And let's say 1,500 there and 1,500 there. I mean, I've been fairly symmetrical, but ironically, but I've now defined what my deferral periods are broken down to. Now, obviously, those could be random numbers, and we've specified it over 6 months. So once I'm happy with that, I close that. And then obviously I can post this transaction. And if we open the posted invoice and we find entries again, so you will see on the GL again, I've got the 7 entries that I would expect. So there's my control account, there is my VAT, and there is my 5380, which is my deferrals account, my prepayments, and then there is the £1,500 that we've moved into 6110 that has come out of the deferrals account. So it's doing the deferral and all the double entry for you. So this works on sales invoices, purchase invoices, but also works on general journals as well, so that you can put that deferral template field onto the general journal and allows you to post deferrals on maybe contractual revenue like maintenance contracts, etc. So really nice feature and well worth investigating. Let us know if we can help you with any of that.
Hi, my name is Robin Weston and I'm a business solutions developer at Dynamics Consultants. My job is to provide business solutions for Microsoft Dynamics NAV and Business Central. This can be smaller changes like tweaks to invoices, all the way up to bigger projects where we're creating completely new bespoke functionality. I also help to upgrade older databases, so we make sure that any previous changes are compatible with the newer version. In my free time, I like to play guitar in my art rock band and spend time with my family.